Let's jump in. It's 12:01. We'll try to keep this on time, but I promise, we will leave you with ideas on how you can implement some of these AI strategies to grow your subscription business and delivering millions of value for your business. In terms of background, my name is Vasu Akula. I lead the data science team within Wazik AI. My partner, who usually joins these webinars, Brandon, he also teaches at K-State, and he's doing a kind of field trip with his students. So he's in Europe. So we are excusing him for the webinar, but he also studied at Wharton, right? And as part of his MBA journey at Wharton Business School, he bumped into this professor, Peter Feder. He's a professor of marketing. He dedicated his 30 years of, or 30 plus years of his, research and, evangelism and advocacy about this one concept, right? And he calls it customer centricity, which will be the foundation of our discussion today and for your business. Customer centricity for your business. Now, how we put AI and create solutions on top of it. But his point, which is phenomenal, if we pause for a minute and think about it, not every customer is created equal. Now, that's a simple statement, but let's unpack this one, right? Customer centricity is about identifying your most valuable customers. Then if we further segment this, right? Not every customer is equal, right? And he's going deeper and deeper into this. It is a strategy that aligns a company's development and delivery of its products and services with current and future needs of a select set of customers in order to maximize the long-term financial value, right? So now, if we kind of break this, right? So instead of thinking about, I have a bunch of products, how do I find customers? Peter's whole point is we deeply understood these customers. How do we even create products and services that fit into the needs of all these customers that I could deeply understand, right? That's actually a very, very interesting idea. Now, most of the companies, including, he makes an argument about Apple and Starbucks about, how they are missing the valuable opportunity to organize everything around customer centricity and create these products and look for customers. What happens if we reverse this one, right? We understand the customers and then create the products and services for them. Now, if you are from subscription businesses, this opportunity is even more, right? Because the nature of subscription businesses is we are maintaining long-term relationship with our customers, right? So that means if you have 20% attrition, your average lifetime, each of your customers are staying with you for 5 years, right? That's a boatload of time to understand payment behavior, call behavior, upgrade behavior, referral behavior, when you have to increase prices, price tolerance behavior, all these behaviors you can deeply understand, which I will go a little more later. But once you understand that, how do we kind of transform the entire business around that core idea? Now I deeply understood these customers. They're far more loyal with us. We can increase the price. They're not going to go anywhere because the adoption is so much or the value extraction is so much, right? All of that is packed into this book. I highly recommend for any subscription business taking a copy of this book. And there is also a audio book if you prefer listening to this in your car. I think it's a light reading, but very, very informative reading. Good idea, right? So let's take this idea, now put AI into this and see how you can take these ideas, center everything around customer centricity, and work on transforming your business from where it is to 20-30% of growth, revenue growth, right? In fact, before I dive into any of that, we actually have been practicing this approach, deeply understanding customers to the point of understanding every customer at a cohort of one, right? Not customers who signed up 3 years ago, not customers who are on this particular plan, not customers who are under this FICO plan. All of that is wonderful, but what AI is allowing us to do is drilling down to a cohort of every single customer. So if you have 100,000 customers, how do we understand customer number 1, to how do we understand customer number 100,000, and then designing strategies around the needs of every single customer by looking at everyone as a separate individual and personalizing your services to their needs, right? But doing all of that with profitability in mind, right? So that is what we have been doing over the last 10 years. And this approach is resulting in delivering tens of millions of dollars in lifetime value increase, which is projects that you don't talk every day, right? So these are transformation projects. We're lucky as professionals if we get on projects that deliver 10 millions of value, right? But that is what I'm going to be talking. But before I go there, I also want to share with all of you a very happy moment for all of us, which is holding this. This is an award that we just won last month, but everyone at Wazik is so proud of this because this is what CMS calls an impact award, not an implementation award. That means everything that I'm going to be talking in this call is a result of implementation experience, right? There's a lot of talk about AI. Not everyone knows, what value we can extract out of it, but we have been doing these kinds of things, whatever I'm going to share with you, over the last 10 plus years. And we translated all of that into results that I shared on the previous slide. And, we are proud of this award because of, the nature of this award being an impact award, not an implementation or a concept or idea award, right? So with all of that as the background, let's jump into the main topic, winning with AI, how successful subscription businesses do it, right? I'll give you a little bit of background. Okay. So what we have here is, imagine, regardless of how many customers you have, 50,000, 100,000, million, more than a million, you do have all your customers, and not every customer is at the same state in terms of some of them are happy, some of them are looking for offers, some of them, when you ask on a net promoter score survey, they're giving, detractor scores. Someone is looking for, can we buy this one? Someone is probably reacting to your rate increases. Someone is reacting to your upgrade offers or add-on offers or referral offers or whatever that might be, right? So every customer is at a different stage. And the other point that Peter is making, which we strongly agree, is not every single customer that you have on this picture is going to be equal, right? So now what we are identifying is successful subscription businesses, the businesses that are growing and latching onto this idea to deeply understand every customer. They're doing something different, right? And what that difference is, designing all these use cases, right? Whether it is getting customers or keeping customers or growing customers, and there are sub-use cases within each of them, right? Defining these use cases and systematically implementing these use cases. Now, you might ask, like, how AI can help. Now, the main topic for this webinar, which is the key enabler, is how AI and ML can turn all your internal data, first-party data and third-party data, into customer-level intelligence, right? So now, what is customer-level intelligence, right? Looking at all of your customers, and first of all, using the demographic data, billing data, service data, usage data, cancel data, location data, all of that type of data, and creating the main thing, which is what is the value of this one customer compared to another customer compared to another customer, right? In subscription businesses, this is extremely important to understand the lifetime value of every single customer, not just cohort of customers, which is what we used to do historically. And then also scoring them for how likely someone is going to continue the relationship with us, churn scores. If there is a lead, how likely that lead is going to convert, sales targeting. If we are giving different offers, what type of offer is applicable to what type of customer, all these things, right? So on the right side, what we have is all the predictive models that you can score every subscriber at an individual customer level, right, or subscriber level. On the left side, you have all your internal data sources, and there is a wealth of third-party information, including, we're finding so much value for, home and neighborhood data especially for home services businesses, home security, pest control, lawn care, insurance, right? All of these companies, there's all this external data that is also very, very useful, right? So AI, what it is doing is scoring your customers at individual level, right? Let's put all of that into action in the next 3 slides, right? So first example that I'm going to be talking about is we can apply AI, and you probably have your internal models, or maybe you heard about these types of models. But the first thing AI can do is it can score your customers for the potential churn or indirectly potential lifetime, right? So here, what the AI model is doing is taking the customers from left side to right side, 100% of your customers, and organizing them in their, in the order of predicted churn, right? So these customers are predicted to attrit at 60%, and these customers are predicted to attrit at 5%, right? So, or 4%, right? So instead of average 20% attrition, we're able to identify who's likely to not cancel and who is likely to cancel. Now, the big idea, if there is one idea from this webinar, outside of operational ideas, is that's a start. Where we are finding real value is how do we take these lifetimes that we can predict at a customer level into lifetime value, right? So now here, what I have is a bunch of numbers, right? But each of them are organized into decile 1, which is high risk, decile 10, which is low risk. And then for illustration purpose, I just took examples of the products or services that you might be offering: advanced service, intermediate service, basic service, and an estimated revenue that you're collecting, right? So more than $60 per month times 12, $720 of ARR, or maybe 50 to 60, which translates into 600 to 700 ARR, so on and so forth, right? The key thing here is because we were able to predict the lifetime or the churn, right? We were able to follow the survival curve and do a future cash flow calculation, discount it to today, and identify the customers who are in this particular decile are valued at $746, but the same customer, same service, same revenue, if they're in a low risk decile, they're valued at $3,600. Now let's pause here. There is $700 for the same service, same revenue, and $3,600. That's nearly $3,000 of difference for a customer who's on a lower risk versus higher risk, right? That's a lot of difference. Now, the main idea is if we know that much of a difference, how do we capitalize on that, right? Now, it doesn't mean we are going to be losing these customers, right? We know something about their lifetime. We know something about their lifetime value even before they choose to cancel the service or something, right? So now we can turn some of these customers into lower risk by giving some offers, discounts, buy one get one free, whatever that might work in your situation, right? And move them to a lower risk decile, or alternatively increase the lifetime value, right? That is what we have been doing for many of our customers that are winning awards like these, or translating into the case studies and success stories that I shared with you, right? So what I'm going to do in the next 3 slides is let's take this main idea from Peter. Not every customer is equal. If we can deeply understand them at the cohort of 1, we can put that into business transformation plan, and then we can transform the business and grow the business much more faster by using this as the data advantage, right? So what we can do without AI is everybody is there, it's an anniversary, maybe we give them a some discounted coupon or something, or maybe they call and say, I want to cancel. Maybe, we give them, some rate adjustments or some additional services to retain them, whatever that might be, right? So, and that is happening to all the customers, almost like a broad brush, right? So even if we are sending marketing offers and things like that, almost every customer is getting roughly the same referral offer, roughly the same upgrade offer, or roughly the same retention offer. Now with AI, because we have deep understanding of the risk and revenue, what we can do is organize these customers not using FICO scores, not using 10 years or years of acquisition, not based on plan, because we saw on the previous slide, even if it is the same plan, and same revenue, the future value of every customer is so drastically different, right? Because of underlying characteristics, their usage, their payment, their lifestyle, right? So there is all these things that are creating customers differently. But because we have that foresight now with all of this AI, we can now segment them into, hey, this chunk of customers are ready for price increase, right? This chunk of customers should have some sort of proactive retention strategy. This chunk of customers are well qualified for upgrades. So let's only give the upgrade offers to this and price increase offers to this and churn reduction offers to this. And maybe another segment of customers are ready for referrals, right? So that way you are now orchestrating different things to different customers and not bombarding all these customers with the same offer. And sometimes these customers are going to be tuning out just because these messages are just not relevant for them, right? So we can go from left side to the right side using AI. Now, how do we do this, right? So the first example I have, or the use case I have, is because we can now use your existing customers and deeply understand your customers, we can score how likely someone is going to convert using historical conversions. But more than that, if we know deeply about our existing customers, we should be able to score if this lead converts, what is the future value of this particular lead, right? So we brought both the things together, the ability, likely conversion rate, and once converted, what is the value? And how do we know that? Based on, how many customers we have in the neighborhood. What are the attributes of this particular lead compared to our existing customers that I can deeply understand, right? So using all of that, we can start putting a value even before a lead becomes a customer. Now that is a interesting idea, because if you have that, instead of giving the same offer to every lead, for some of your high value leads, the ones that I'm talking about, $3,000, $4,000, compared to the ones, like $1,000, $1,500, you can give, better offers to, higher value customers, right? That should translate into higher conversions and all organized around your high value customers, right? So that's one way you can use in the example of how do we improve our sales performance, right? So let's switch into another use case where, again, we deeply understand our customers. We also understand the risk levels of these customers. Now, what can we do? The customer is not yet saying, I want to cancel. We know something because of our ability to stitch all the data, payments, calls, upgrades, service requests, right? Complaints, satisfaction surveys. Combine all of that, you put a risk score. Based on the risk score and predicted lifetime value, you can design some proactive offers that are still profitable, right? And proactively reach out to your customers and give these offers to them as a way to retain them, move them from the high risk, low value decile into somewhere in the middle or somewhere to the right side on the CLV slide that I shared earlier, right? So absolutely, we can use this data to improve your customer retention, not with the traditional way, wait until someone calls to cancel, but because we have this foresight, we can even launch email campaigns. We can even once in a while make outbound calls or send an SMS message, right? Or maybe implement some of these offers in your website so customers can take advantage of these offers in a very proactive way. Or maybe even reactivate, they're calling for service, you can make some of these offers back to them, right? And another example that I want to share with you is how do we use all of this knowledge, right? Price sensitivity, lifetime, tolerance of certain price increases, right? Predictive models are at a point where they can now score all your subscribers on what we are calling price sensitivity. If we increase the price of this customer by 5%, are we going to trigger an unwanted, side effect of attrition? Not everyone is going to react. And you already are sitting on very valuable information on who's reacting and not reacting based on what happened last year, before last year, when you increased the prices, who responded in an adverse way by canceling and who did not cancel, right? So if you have that information, we can feed that into AI models and again, classify customers. On the left side, we have high price and high sensitivity. So don't increase the rates. They're already paying higher rate. But on the bottom right, they're relatively paying less price for the service that you're offering because the salesperson might have sold something, instead of an average $50 per month or $600 of annual revenue, someone might be selling this at $650 or $550, right? So there are discrepancies for some of the home services companies on even the same plan being sold at different prices. So we can kind of understand, who's paying relatively high, low. Not every geography is the same cost to serve. Where is the profitability by location? If you have branch-based business, we can factor in all of that and add a layer of price sensitivity and identify a cohort of customers who are paying less and also more tolerant to price increases, and you can relatively increase the prices with a lot more safety net, right? So these are 3 examples, but I have several examples in the areas of getting customers, whether it is lead scoring or even going after canceled customers and winning them back, or maybe looking at some of your unconverted leads from last year and before last year and retargeting them, because now you have AI scores. So that means you can go after some of these high scoring, high value customers, give them a better offer than what you did last time that did not convert, and potentially convert, right? So there are ways in which AI can help you with acquiring more customers, or maybe proactive retention, pending cancel prevention, right? I could not save the customer who says I want to cancel, but tomorrow I can rescore and give a better offer than what I did today. And that strategy is also helping in keeping some of the customers and growing through price increases, growing through upgrades, growing through referrals, right? So the easiest way to sell is selling it to your existing customers. If you deeply understand them, and if you have more than one service to offer, upgrades is always a very nice way to add value to your customer and also make more revenue. And guess what? The customer who upgrades is very, very less likely to cancel, right? So these are all ideas that you can implement. I know that we are approaching end of time, so I'm going to quickly translate that into how does a typical business case look like? If we bring all of these ideas together, how does the typical business case look like, right? So get customers, keep customers, grow customers. These are the same ideas that I shared on the previous slide, but the underlying foundation, let's go back to Peter. Not every customer is equal, but if we can deeply understand the customers, we can do things differently. I gave you an example of how we can understand the future value of a lead, apply that in sales lead scoring, and give better offers or targeted offers that we wouldn't have normally given in the past, right? So using that, we can generate additional customers, whether it is retention strategy, proactive retention strategy, pending cancel, win back strategy, we can generate additional customers, right? Or growing also, I put some numbers here, and we can help you in designing a targeted use case to see if AI is a good fit for your business. And if it is a good fit, like which use cases is probably top of the line for you versus second priority and third priority based on your unique data sources, your unique needs and priorities. But this is how our typical business case is looking like, right? So for a company that has 100,000 subscribers with 20% attrition, this is the ballpark number that we are able to add $16 to $20 million of lifetime value every single year. Over a 2-3 year window, we are talking about another 50 million, 30, 40, $50 million of value. So phenomenal opportunity for us to leverage AI, stitch all the data together, see customers differently, and then immediately translate all of that into operational use cases like the examples that we discussed. Hope this is informative, and you are leaving this webinar with new ideas. If you are interested in working with us, understanding your situation, and designing how AI could help in your particular situation, I'm happy to share with you that we are offering a complimentary, no cost production trial. That means we take your, we first of all sign an NDA. So all your data and your proprietary business, process stays between us, and we implement some of these models on your real customers, right? Not hypothetical, real, literally what is the value of your customers and how retention could work for you, price increase could work for you, lead scoring could work for you, or win back could work for you, right? We do that all within 1 month, right? And then you can make a decision whether AI is applicable for you or not. If you're interested in this, feel free to send us an email, or each of you who joined the webinar will get a copy of this recording. You can respond back to that, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to do a one-on-one call with you work with you and your data analyst to load your data into our solution, let the AI do its magic, and then do a readout for you, right? So that's for anyone joining this, like we are offering that webinar at no cost. And then as an additional bonus, right, if you want to continue working with us after the production trial, which is no cost, we are also giving some pretty good discounts to get you started with this exciting journey about how to bring millions of dollars of lifetime value to your customers using AI, right? So that's the kind of key part of our webinar. But let's see if there is anyone with questions or comments, so I can take that in the next few minutes. If you have questions, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box, and I will take these questions as I read them. Okay. So the first question is, how long will it take to demonstrate lifetime value scores and churn scores on our individual data, and what types of data sources are needed, right? So we will work with you on what is readily available data. Sometimes it is as simple as what your retention team or what your operational team is working on. How many subscribers do you have? How does the cancel rate look like? How much revenue that you have? If you have a contract, how does the contract terms look like? Payments and payment methods. If you are a home service business, the location at which you are servicing, because the home and neighborhood also has pretty good predictive power. So we capture that type of data, not that complicated to run the trial, plug it into our systems, and then within a couple of weeks, I would say, we'll get the first pass, and within 2 more weeks, by the time we go through that 4-week window, we should be able to get to a complete executive ready presentation. But that's exciting because it is on your customers and your data, as opposed to the examples that I shared in this deck. This is mostly about data security and all of this. Like, how do you ensure our data privacy is protected? So that's a very, very good question. These days, all the CIOs, CTOs, this is the final thing that is on top, right? Everyone wants to do it AI, but they're kind of worried about, like, if I, let this data float around in pursuit of AI, am I losing, privacy control, right? So we are very well aware of this situation. And for that reason, what we decided to do is we will never let the data from your business leave your business, right? That means we will work within your network. We will work with your chosen cloud provider, whether that is Azure or Amazon or Google or your internal systems. We'll work with your IT team and load the data within your network. And then we connect to that system and do all the work, right? So good news is your data never leaves your network, right? So your CIO should be very happy with this. I have another question. I missed the author and title of the book that you suggested. Let's actually end this call because that's the last question that we have. This is Peter Fader. This book is available on Amazon, Customer Centricity. It's a 3-hour audiobook. I highly recommend, get a Kindle copy, get an audiobook copy. You'll be glad you did, right? So unless there are any other questions, hopefully I gave you a ton of ideas. We will follow up with a copy of this webinar recording for you. Please feel free to follow up with us, and we'll be happy to schedule a one-on-one and continue the discussion there. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Bye now.